In a world where brand experiences compete for attention, experiential marketing can make or break audience engagement, but the challenges behind these activations often go unseen. Welcome to the PhD with Women on IT Hack the Future. My name is Jamil Navarrosa, and today's PhD Positivity Hack delivered will be by our guest, Heather Johnson. Our topic
Hi.
for today is titled Marketing That Finds You, the App Changing How We Connect. Episode 207 starts here. Let me remind you this is a grassroots community that focuses on women in IT, an inclusive forum of women in technology, startup, and female leaders who are supported by men as well. And I bring heart to that hassle because empathy is my mojo, and empathy is critical in marketing. Now, join us for an exciting positivity hack delivered with Heather Johnson, co-founder of SampleFinder and Marketing Director at Polaris Brand Promotions, and a creative mind behind an innovative app that's changing the way brands connect with audiences. From starting as a brand ambassador to launching a first of its kind experiential marketing app, Heather blends creativity, strategy, and technology to redefine how brands connect with audience in real-world experiences. Discover how emerging digital tools with human-to-human interaction drives lasting impact and why resilience, creativity, and curiosity are key to success in experiential marketing. Whether you're a marketer, tech innovator, or brand leader, this episode will challenge you to see events and activations as more than campaigns. They're experiences that connect, engage, and inspire. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Heather. And so, Heather, thank you so much for joining us. To start, where in the world are you today?
Thank you so much, Jamil. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to talk to your listeners. I am coming to you from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in the US.
So, for our viewers, can you explain what is the sample finder is and what it is about?
Yes, I can. So SampleFinder is an experiential marketing app that is going to promote brand activations to users across the country, currently just in the US, but we are working on expanding globally. And brand activations can be anything from getting samples in a grocery store to walking down the street and somebody is handing out bags of things or helping you understand a new service. Or maybe you're at an event like a music festival or a concert and they're handing out swag or t-shirts ahead of time. So those are brand activations run by brand ambassadors. And this app is a digital platform to have all of them on your phone ahead of time so that you, as somebody who wants to engage in the world, can see what's going on in your area.
So, Heather, one of the things we love about your story is that you didn't just walk into tech office. You started as a brand ambassador on the ground. You've seen the sweat and the smiles that go into a promotion. How did those early days in the trenches shape the way you actually design Sample Finder?
Yeah. So what's really cool about the concept is that the boss of my agency, so I work for a promo staffing agency, which is Polaris Brand Promotions, and he came to me with a concept. So I have already been out in the field doing this brand ambassador work, wanting people to come over to my table or to engage with me. And I can reach out and talk to almost anybody. So I have that skill that led me to being a brand ambassador. But not everybody does, and not every store has the right advertisement ahead of time for these types of brand activations. So I knew that the way that the layout of the app had to lend itself in this way to make these brand activations succeed. And then on the design side of that, this concept, we put this together that was going to be in August. And we knew we wanted to go and debut at the beginning of 2026. So August of 2025, I was jumping right into the design of this. And because it was such a fast turnaround, I was creating the brand identity at the same time as creating the app. So I was bringing some of my background in graphic design to that time. And I was creating mood boards, and the mood boards of what the app was going to look like, and a storyboard of how the user experience was going to go. And, I was debating between, should it be gradients? Should it be muted colors? Should it be flat? But then I was thinking more about all my time out in the field, and I'm like, no, it's exciting. It's fresh. It's new every single time. It's attracting attention. So we went with bright designs, blue and purples, attract people. And then it was just really fun to think about how this will look for users and how it will look for brand ambassadors and what it will look like out in the real world and people using it. So we went with loud, we went with exciting colors, gradients, and brightness. And I feel like that reflects what the industry is as a whole.
Most great inventions come from someone getting frustrated and saying, there has to be a better way. What was the specific moment or pain point in the field where you realized a digital tool was the only way to fix a physical problem?
That's actually a really good question, because this definitely came as a solution for a problem that we see in the industry all the time. So I mentioned, yes, brand ambassador back for years now, over a decade, I've been a brand ambassador. And I was the type of person who would, post where I was going to be on my stories, or even back in the day on Facebook. And I would be the one advertising these events to my friends. It wasn't to the large populace. So that was difficult because I wanted people to show up, but I didn't have an easy way to say these events ahead of time. And even the stores, sometimes they'll put it on a whiteboard, or they might put it on their social media, these types of events, but it's so rare. It's so rare. So what we were noticing, the biggest pain point was that at our promo staffing agency, we noticed that clients, brands pour money into their campaigns, their experiential marketing campaigns or their events, and then they're relying on the natural flow of traffic in the store or the natural attendance to the event. This app, SampleFinder, is a better way to get brand activations advertised ahead of time. It's not just one spot. It's not just listed on a wall. It's not just listed on somebody's story. It's on the user's phone all the time. And so being a BA in the day, it made me realize where if the advertisement or the notice ahead of time of the event is on a phone that a user is constantly using, and in this case, using to see what is happening in their area and where they could go, would be a way to get around this pain point. It's a way for the brands who are doing brand activations to get a higher ROI, so return of investment, on their activations, a higher chance of people showing up, and then increased brand awareness, which is the overall goal of all of these events.
You have a degree in graphic design and still freelance today. Correct me if I'm wrong. Usually, people think of tech as just lines of code, but the look and feel are just as important. How did your designer eye influence the user experience of SampleFinder to make it intuitive for people in the field?
Yes, I love graphic design. I still do it all the time. I went to school for it. I have my bachelor's degree in design. And so I have done so much work on different types of projects, but this was my first time designing an app from start to finish. So it was a journey for me. And I know user experience is the most important. So I put myself into the user's eyes. And when you open the app, the very first thing you see is a list or a map view of what is in your area. The reason why I chose a list is because the events and the logos and the brands are listed in that. So you see the brand activation name and you see the logo ahead of time, which is really good for the brand exposure ahead of time. So then the list view goes first, and the map view is for people who might want to see the events in their area geographically. Call to actions, I need to make sure that they are clear, the discovery is natural wherever they want to go in the app. So once the user shows up to the app and to an event, I had to also make sure that the way that you go through a sampling event is copied by the way that the flow of the screens went. So I had to put myself in the different user shoes and think, okay, you're going to show up to an event in order to get points, because this app does incentivize people to go to these brand activations so they can get points, accrue awards and badges, and those, of course, turn into rewards. This made it so that the way that you go into an event has to be extremely natural. UX is so important. Anybody who ever works on a websites design or any type of interactive design, app design, you need to know how your users are going to use it. And the best way to do that is to also test it yourself. So I got to the point where I made a prototype. I was testing it in the design. I tested it in a prototype, and I went through it. I built it to experiment how different users could use it. And actually, I went through with the goal of breaking it to get to a point where it's like, wait, I backed myself into a corner. What would the user do here? So I have to build those shortcuts and those different ways that the user would experience the app, and then address any of the concerns. So I was excited that I built that prototype. We took it to CES, Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. We took it to the NRF show, which is National Retail Federation, where we also had a team go through it. We had people walking by go through it. And it was really cool. It was really cool to see how, to witness the way that people use it, and to to adjust the UX to fit that in that. And then the next step is developmental. So working with the app developer to make sure that the UX is what I envisioned, which sometimes has its own set of problems, but only because there's people who are in the industry and outside of the industry, and the UX is different for both. So you have to make sure it works for everybody.
Our episode title is Marketing That Finds You, which sounds almost like a magic. In an era where we usually try to block ads, your approach is different. For our listeners who are new to this concept, how does experiential marketing differ from traditional ads that just disrupt our day?
Mm-hmm. Yes, experiential marketing is very different than just physical ads or digital ads. This is because it adds a personal touch. This is because you are creating with experiential marketing authentic experiences, interactions, one-on-one, or a crowd of people get to hear, or a crowd of brand ambassadors get to explain something all at the same time, or put on some sort of event. They do this so that you feel, as a user, as a shopper, as a consumer, you feel part of the brand. People are currently obsessed with creating content. It has never been easier to put out content, but that content is not always good. It's typically nothing wrong with creating a lot of content. That's what you want to do, as long as you are avoiding AI slop, or as long as you're avoiding just throwing things up that don't actually have messaging. Messaging is so important. What's good about experiential marketing is that the very base level of messaging that you have is that you care about your consumers, you care about your followers. This sometimes has, it's missing that personal touch that you get when you're just having an ad out there. Ads are great. I'm not going to say anything too terrible about them, because I do advertising design. However, the reason why I'm in experiential marketing design is because I love that it feels like experiential marketing. You're talking with the person. It's a conversation. It's an experience. It's not like the ad is talking at you. Even if you're walking by this experience, you're going to see people having fun and engaging, and it has a different sort of discovery to it. It's unique. It's memorable. And because you're involved in it as the person, it feels like it's a give and take. It's really fun. I really love experiential marketing.
We often hear that technology is making us more isolated or replacing human interaction. But your app seems to do the opposite. How does SampleFinder uses technology to actually facilitate a better physical interaction between a brand and a human?
In the beginning, the brands will be, on their own putting out the events, and the users will be on their own exploring the events. But when those come together, when the user's like, oh, I see this event that's happening in my area and I want to go to it, now you're opening up for an open-ended conversation that's happening in real time. There's actual people who are involved in experiential marketing events that can facilitate conversation. You're also getting immediate gratification from it. So it's not simply two separate experiences. They are plans that come together. This communication goes both ways in this sort of interaction. So for the brands, they're offering either physical samples. That's the main thing that we do on SampleFinder. That's why we call it SampleFinder, so that you can try new products and services in your area and add to like what kind of brand you want to support. And I will quickly say that that means we're hoping to help out a lot of small businesses in this area, because it puts them on a level playing field if they're having events and experiential marketing. So that is another side of it that is really cool. But the communication at the actual events, going both ways, is that the brand gets to tell you through brand ambassador, who is a representative of your company, who is acting on your behalf. They're having all these fun, exciting conversations like, you should try this new product. You know, it's gluten-free, it's super healthy for you, it's this, that, whatever. And now the shopper can be like, oh, well, is it vegan? And then they can have that immediate answer. Instead of just reading a box, instead of just going on their phone, they're getting it from a person from the company. So it feels very personal. And then in our app, the way that it is going to connect the shoppers now, or the consumers now, to the brands, is that we're going to have immediate feedback. You can leave a review after you go to an event. You can opt into it. But if you do, you can leave the brand, 1 to 5 stars. You can say whether you bought it on site or not. You can leave a little bit of hints of what you liked about it. And there's an open-ended review where you can write what you thought. So we get to, sometimes go on to Yelp or other review sites and sort of like say into the void what you think. And maybe the brand sees it, maybe not. It depends on if they're big enough to have somebody running their social media. But in this case, it doesn't matter how big the brand is, even if it's a mom and pop. They get to get these reviews that are like, oh my gosh, this was so amazing. Keep going. I believe in you. And then they get to get that in return. And they might want to then be like, okay, we got all these 5-star reviews. We want to give those people extra discounts or something extra to really build that brand loyalty and that communication and that relationship. So this really is important, and having your opinion heard through this app, because it feels like the shoppers get to care about their choices, more choice that sometimes e-commerce and other like delivery platforms lose, because there's not as much choice and people value their freedom. So the shoppers get to care about the brands that they choose. It makes them feel closer to them, strengthens this relationship. And that's the thing about experiential marketing. It does turn into, even temporarily, a relationship between two identities who support each other actually in the end. So whether, one side is trying to sell something, the other side is trying to try something new. And this brings it together. So it's a little informal. It's a little bit more connected.
In the tech world, we are constantly troubleshooting, whether it's a bug in an app or a logistical nightmare at an event. What is your personal strategy for problem solving when things get complicated?
Yes, this happens all the time. The biggest thing I'm going to say with any type of issue that might pop up or problem is just to slow down and to take it one step at a time. Break it down into smaller pieces, into smaller manageable pieces. It sounds easy. It sounds like maybe something you've heard a lot, but when you are in your own personal field and you feel like you're the expert and you're the only one who can fix the problem, while that may be true, you do want to rely on your support to make sure that you are not alone in any issue. Slowing down and breaking it up is quite often the way to reduce the stress. It might feel like the end of the world. Oh my gosh, this bug I cannot fix it. But if something's going wrong, at the end of the day, this industry, it's not life or death. There's a team of experts who can help. So yeah, my biggest advice here is to just take it one step at a time. And that can help you. I'm not going to say don't get overwhelmed, because that happens naturally, but it can help you if you get overwhelmed and help it to make it more manageable.
Transitioning from marketing to app founder means entering a very male-dominated tech space. As a woman on IT, what was your experience like moving into the development phase? And did you find a community that supported that shift?
It was daunting. I was venturing into the unknown in multiple areas here. I was venturing into the unknown of I know how to design and I know how to to do all of those things, in my mind, but when I'm actually physically doing it, and then having to speak to, other people who are in the field who would sometimes speak over me or say like things that their opinions. It was difficult. I had to, stand my ground on different things that I fully believed in. Luckily, the co-founder of the app, so I'm one co-founder, the other co-founder is Al Schuster. He's owner and president of Polaris Brand Promotions, which is the agency I work for. So I will say, what's really, really cool about this situation is that I am the marketing director for Polaris Brand Promotions, the agency. And my boss came to me with this idea, and I was able to turn it into something so real that I became co-founder of the app. So it was really good to have the support of him. But I will say, and so okay, I say that because it helps with some of these conversations. But constant communications between the goals and our deadlines and everything else that goes into a major project, whatever it is really good. The constant communication helps. And then to be able to have a unified front when we're working with our app developer. I also learned to go into my inner circle in this and, not discard other people in my life. I had somebody who is very close to me help me with testing and with Figma, which is what I was building the app in. And then others who helped me to see the external viewpoint of people who are not in the industry at all. So I was really relying on my people who I care about to be like, tell me what you think of this. What do you think of this? And then it made me, with all those opinions, feel more confident to go into my actual job and say, this is what we need to do. And this is why. So yeah, I made the community, I guess, of the people who are in my life who I knew would support me.
Speaking of your community and support, our forum is a place where women lead, but we also emphasize that men play a huge role as allies and supporters. None of us are able to achieve success without some help along the way. Is there a particular person who you are grateful towards who helped get you to where you are? And can you share a story about that?
Yes. So I am going to use this time to feature Al Schuster, the other co-founder of this app. He saw my potential back when I was a brand ambassador. I started working with him after COVID. I was working on a street team at a live activation at a casino in Philadelphia. And eventually he was looking for somebody with marketing. And I have that background. So I decided to join the agency. And through that, I continued doing freelance on the side. And he started to see that kind of work. Because I was so excited about what I do, I would talk about it quite often. And when he had the concept for the app, he came to me and he's like, okay, you're a designer. You talk all the time about how you love design. Do you want to do this with me? And ever since then, he has been so supportive in the fact of putting me, giving me my dues. And I cannot be more grateful for the kind words he has said about me. I truly could not do it without him, but he even goes above and beyond in this to be like, I just came up with the concept and Heather made everything else. And so it's really nice to have that kind of person, let alone my boss, have that support for me and to build me up and to make these new introductions for me. And I really, really am proud that I was able to come up with the vision to accompany his concept here. I'm very grateful for that support from him.
You mentioned that resilience is key to success. In your opinion, what are the top 3 soft skills all career-driven females should have to navigate the tech and marketing industries effectively?
Okay, I'm going to start with communication. I know I said that a little bit earlier. Yeah, I touched on it, but effective communication. One way that you can do this is, maybe to pause and, collect yourself before you go into it, especially if you're in a male-dominated field where people are speaking over you. When the conversation isn't heading in the direction that you intended, maybe because somebody interrupted you or another reason, pause and bring yourself back to center and make sure you know what you want to communicate and stick with it. It can be hard to bounce back if you kind of get pushed aside, but get good at maybe even practice, get good at knowing what to do in those situations, and stay consistent, and people will eventually eventually see your communication skills and listen more. It's frustrating to have to do that, but that's just true. Another one I would say is maybe flexibility or adaptability for whatever the situation is. The world is constantly changing. Change is the only constant. So being able to take whatever changes come at you and be able to pivot, as long as all of your all of your decisions align with where you want to be in the future, as long as it's in alignment with your goals, it's okay to change and to adapt to whatever the particular situation is. You don't need to be rigid. Be open to opportunities and learning experiences, and try to not get too intimidated by how often the world changes, because it's going to change regardless. And as long as you see it and say, okay, I can go into this because I know where I stand. And then I guess actually, because I'm saying that, the last thing I would say is confidence. Try to, build up your confidence in any way that you can. Unfortunately, women sometimes do have to practice this more, just the confidence, because of the societal expectations. And to be honest, yeah, there are a lot of double standards in the way that women need to show up in the workplace versus the way that men get to interact with the corporate world. But as a whole, I feel like everybody is working on this. We're working on this. That's why there's a lot of, men. I love that you said allies. That was really cool. There's a lot of good men out there who will support you. Sometimes it's scary to ask for that support, but that's where the confidence comes in. So yeah, this will help you be assertive and prioritize yourself and your goals and whatever you're trying to communicate and bring to the table.
We are seeing more AI, VR, and automation every day. It's changing how we live and shop. Where do you see the intersection of high-tech tools and live brand activations going in the next 5 years?
Yes. Okay. So I think it's going to be extremely data driven. I think that, and that seems personal, but it kind of isn't. It reduces the end user to a bunch of facts and demographics, and that's just not always the end goal, because you want it to. I think actually, okay, because of that, I think because it's going to get so analytical that people in the marketing world are going to try to go even further into experiential marketing and those types of interactions with their shoppers to remove how cold that sounds when it's just, you're a data point and we need to advertise to you. I think they realize that, and that's why experiential marketing has been on the rise so much. So I think it's actually going to be very data driven, but get very personal. Past the point of personalized ads, when you open your phone and you see something that you just talked about, I think it's going to get past that and go more into maybe the storytelling of marketing. Experiential marketing, we're creating experiences. So maybe I think it will go towards like creating a story about the brand and what's your place in the story of what we're telling. So feeling like you are, still moving along with the brand, and maybe that even gets, relating very close to the individual because we're able to collect more data. I'm also thinking that it's, I know I just said this as a soft skill, but I think it also is going to need to adapt very quickly because of what AI is doing. And other, VR is cool. That's experiential marketing. You can create really cool things with these tools as long as you're not losing the soul of what marketing is. People don't want to be yelled at. They want to be interacted with. So I think that it's going to get more interactive on that note. And maybe even get to the point where it's completely engaging. It's as immersive as VR in other ways, where the user gets to forget their own life for a second and be part of this journey that the brand is creating. But then of course, on top of that, it has to be measurable. So that's why the data matters so much. So I guess using apps like SampleFinder will help with that. Be able to have all these people come in and feel like they were able to take a break from their life for a little bit and experience something new, and at the same time have the option for them to give you back what you want to know about them. I think it's going to become very data driven, and in that, because of that, it's going to need to become more personal and more immersive.
Now that SampleFinder is making waves, we're all curious about what's next on your horizon. Are you working on any new exciting projects right now that you can give us a sneak peek into?
Yeah. So, well, I will say that SampleFinder is going to be officially launching in April. So we are still in the testing phase a little bit. With our app developer, our deadline will be April 2026. So that will be releasing. And then we are going to, well, we may or may not be introducing a new platform through our agency to do something very similar to speaking, like what you're doing with speaking on our expertise in the field. Not sure what that will look like yet, but that's something that in the experiential marketing world, there's not a lot of people who know what that is. And I would like to have the opportunity to share what I know about it, what we know about it with more people. So that is coming down the line. Let's see. Oh, I know. So with SampleFinder, our charity partnership is Ahmaud Butler Foundation. They are based out of Philadelphia, and they help families with children facing childhood, cancer or other types of illnesses. And that partnership helps support the families as a whole. And they are doing their own convention that's in Philadelphia this summer. And so what's exciting is we're going to be there, and we're going to be part of that event.
You create digital flower collages in your free time, and for sure, I can imagine it's very beautiful. Does that right brain artistic work help clear your head or give you any new ideas when you're dealing with left brain app logistics?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, I do love doing that. That is actually where my heart is and has always been. That's, I went to school for it. I love creating. I love creating art that can be just for me or just for like the community and just beauty for beauty's sake. Yes, it definitely helps me come to different solutions in my brain. I can zone out when I do this. Quite often, like the photos that I take of flowers are me walking. I go on walks, leave the house, step away from the projects, and go out into the world. And now I'm taking, high-res photos of flowers that later on I will go home and mask out and take just the flower and make collages of that. And sometimes I incorporate typography to do that. Sometimes it goes into my advocacy work. So it's been really fun to do it because the rest of my brain is always working on the behind the scenes on other projects. So I might be deep in the zone of creating a flower collage, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's how I can fix this issue. And so I really think it's important for resting the brain because it's never going to stop. Your brain is always going, but you don't need to be there necessarily for all of it. You can zone out and focus on something else and use the other side of your brain, whether that's coloring or whatever it is for you. And naturally, your brain is working on those. They're firing symptoms in the background. It's working on those projects, and it's going to come to the top. It's going to float on up when you least expect it. That's why people suddenly have aha moments when they're not even thinking about the project. You have to give yourself a break, your brain a break, and do something else. And in my way, that means creating in something else.
Oh, that's very good. And for sure, it's always like, flowers are pretty and very, very beautiful. And art is very, inspiring. So, Heather, as we are towards at the end of our show, let me ask you, what is the number one book you can sit and think, oh, I wish I read before I started my career?
There are so many books that I actually will refer to even now. I have design books that range from communication design in the 20s up until now. And while I read them back in college, I do need to make a point to go back and read them again because art trends and themes are always coming and going, and they always play with each other. And there's ways to make new from the old. So I would say some of those design books by famous graphic designers. I can't think of a certain title off the top of my head. I want to say it's called Communication Arts. But yeah, those types of publications definitely I liked to read. I did read before my career, but I wish that I read them more throughout the career as well.
Let's imagine that you could meet anyone in the world for a private breakfast. Who would it be and where would you choose to be?
Okay. Anybody in the world is gonna be Jane Goodall. I would love to sit down with her. I wish she was here. She did such amazing work with animals, and that's another passion that's very close to my heart. So much work with animals that I just need to know everything. I want to hear every part about it. I want to know what it was like to be trusted by, monkeys and gorillas. I want to know what it was like to be a woman in that industry and to see what kind of, in a scientific industry, and see what kind of challenges she had to face. And where I would choose to meet is probably, well, definitely in nature. It would depend on maybe the environment of animals she's working with. So maybe it would be the jungle, but if I had to choose, it would be somewhere outside along the beach, along water somewhere.
And can you please give us your favorite life lesson quote?
Okay, my favorite life lesson quote is, oh man, I'm gonna say always forward, never back. Switching it up to always forward, never back, because you should always move forward and continue on whatever your goal is to get to the future. Never back just means that there's no need to go back and revisit if there's a issue that happens that you can't fix and it's in your past, or if there is a pivot in your journey that you're overthinking now. Just move forward and make your life what it is. You don't have to regret things that may have happened in the past. You look forward and create your life. You are fully in charge of your life. So if you're not happy, move forward and see where your happiness can come from next.
I agree. So, Heather, you've inspired us today with your journey from the field to the founder seat. What specific advice would you give to females listening today to help them in their career or to finally start their own entrepreneurial journey?
Okay. You can do it. You really can do it. Sounds silly, and you never know what's going to happen when you take that jump. But you can take that jump in small ways. If you're nervous, I said, like, build your confidence, surround yourself with people who want to support you and believe in you. There's like-minded people everywhere. So find your community, whatever entrepreneurial industry that you're interested in. Learn from the people who have done it before. Find people in your community who will support you. It's okay to fail. It's okay to start over. It's okay to pivot. Quite often as women, I feel like there's obstacles to overcome everywhere. There's rooms that are harder to be heard in. We have to fight harder. And while that's unfair, use your strengths in these instances. The time's going to pass anyway. You're going to continue in your life anyway. So if you have something that you really want to do during that time when your life is continuing, do it. Yes, whatever matters to you the most. If it's something that you can bring into your work, yes, all of the behind the scenes work that goes into it, that comes from your heart. And as long as you are good and set in what you want to do, go do it.
That's beautiful. And that's it from 207 of the PhD live stream. Thanks to our guest, Heather Johnson. To stay updated and ensure you never miss a positivity hack delivered, follow Women on IT and turn on notifications to be alerted once the video has been released. Tune in next week with our guest, Miss Abigail Posner. And thank you to our fabulous team, Rashlyn, Desiree, and Marianne. As always, our positivity quote comes from positive thinking only and goes look for something positive in each day. Even if some days you have to look a little harder. Yeah. Today is your day to hack the future, hack the positivity you want. Thank you.
Thank you.